Welcome to online class for the students of Sayaviti Society High School, Gazipur. I welcome my dear students to join with me today. And today I am going to discuss about English second paper for the students of class 9. I hope my dear students are okay at your home, and I request my dear students to join with me, and I will try my best to discuss about the chapter tag question for the students of class 9. And today I am going to discuss about English second paper for the students of class 9 chapter tag question. Before going to discuss about tag question, and 4 topics are much more important for the students. And which are they? They are the structure of a sentence, and number 2, the subject of a sentence, and 3, the auxiliary verb of a sentence, and 4, the negative word of a sentence, either not or anything else. And these and 4 things are much more important before going to discuss about tag questions. I am repeating again: the structure of a sentence, subject, auxiliary verb, about negative, not. And let's go to details. And what is the structure of a sentence? Structure of a sentence. If you know, in simple sentence, if I write a sentence, I am going to school, and this is a complete sentence. Here, I is subject, am is auxiliary verb, go is main verb, and school is an object. And here, I is subject. For the tag question, to identify subject is much more important. Without subject, it is not possible to do any tag question. So we have to know about the subject of a structure. And secondly, auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb. You have to identify the auxiliary verb of a sentence. And in brief, which are the auxiliary verbs? Do, does, did, am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, shall, will, can, could, may, might, should be, would be, ought, must, need. These all are auxiliary verbs here. And if you find a sentence including auxiliary verb, for an example, am, is, are, was, were, have, has, shall, will, and you will find easily the auxiliary verb. But in 3 cases, you will not find the auxiliary verb. And what are they? And I am going to school. Here, auxiliary verb is am. And if I write, I go to school, he goes to school, you went to school. And these are the 3 sentences without any auxiliary verb. But here, the auxiliary verbs are hidden. And if you find a verb after subject, present tense, and you have to understand that here the auxiliary verb will be do. And if you find s or es after the main verb in present indefinite tense, and you have to understand that here the auxiliary verbs will be does. And if you find past tense after the subject, then you have to understand the auxiliary verb will be did. In do, does, and did, these three auxiliary verbs will not be added with the sentence directly. You have to identify yourself. Okay? And now I am going to discuss about the negative words in a sentence. You see, I don't like it. I never like it. These are two sentences here. And if you see in first sentence, you will find that not is included with this sentence. But here, I never like it. There is no word mentioned not. But here is a not. Never means not. So we have to understand which words are seen as negative. The words, example, never, nothing, least, nobody, hardly, scarcely, no sooner, etc. And these are the mostly negative words. And if you find these kinds of negative words, and you have to understand that these sentences are negative sentences. So, and you have to identify carefully. And in case of tag question, we have to identify three things. You have to identify three things. What are they? Number one, you have to identify the first subject. Then you have to identify the auxiliary verb. And thirdly, you have to identify whether there is not or there is not any negative word in this sentence. Now, I am going to the formula of tag question. Now you see, I was reading a book. This is a complete sentence. And if a formula of a tag question, you have to write the given sentence, given sentence, then you have to write auxiliary verb. Then you have to write not or withdrawing not. If you find a stuck in a sentence including not, you have to withdraw the not. And if you do not find any not in the sentence, you have to include the not in the tag question. This I tried to mention this. Then you have to write the subject of the sentence. Then you have to write the question mark. For an example, you see, he is writing a letter. And you have to make this tag question here. You see, if you go through this formula of tag question, given sentence, and this is the given sentence, you have to write, he is writing a letter. Okay. Then you have to write auxiliary verb. Here is auxiliary verb, is, and not or withdrawing not. And there is no not here. And so you have to add not. You have to write not this and apostrophe T. Then you have to write subject. And he is subject, is not he. Then you have to add a question mark here, and you have to underline this. And this is a complete tag question. But there are some problem. Which are the problem? And here in this structure, the subject is clear, auxiliary verb is clear, and there is no word mentioning not. But if you find without subject, without auxiliary verb, without not, what will you do? In this case, you have to understand better. Okay? For an example, the birds are flying. In this sentence, this is the given sentence. Now you have to add first the auxiliary verb. Are is auxiliary verb, are, but there is no any not, so you have to write not. Here the birds is the subject, but you will not write the birds are not birds, no. And what will be the subject in this sentence? You see, the birds, this is a plural, and if you find a subject of a sentence plural, if you want to do the tag question of this sentence, you have to mention here the. Okay, you have to memorize this. And if you find a plural number here and the tag question, in case of tag question, the subject will be they. For an example, you see, let's go. If you find a sentence mentioning let's, and you will write down the tag question directly, shall we? Shall we? You have to write the shall we? You have to write the tag question directly if you find let's in a sentence. As like as if you find a sentence mentioning order, request, propose, actually not propose, and order and request, you will mention the tag question directly, will you? For an example, go home now. And what will be the tag question of this sentence? Go home now. This is an order. So you will mention will you. Okay? In case of order and request, and the tag question will be will you. You have to memorize, you have to understand this. And there are some sentences with a subject, but you have to know the rules of the subject. And what are the rules? And if you see, nothing was happened. And this is a sentence. Here, what is the subject? Nothing is the subject, was is auxiliary verb. But if you see clearly this sentence, if you want to do the tag question of this sentence, you have to write first auxiliary verb. Then if you find nothing is negative word, so you will not write here not. If you find any negative word of the given sentence, and there is not necessary to write here not. And if you do not find any negative word, then you have to add the not here. So nothing is negative word, so you will not write here not. But if you find a sentence mentioning subject nothing, then in case of doing take question, you have to write the subject here it. Okay, in this subject, the subject will be it. So including nothing in a sentence, and if you want to do the tag question of this sentence, the nothing will be it. Subject will be here it, and this is an exceptional rule. And you see, if you find any animal, the horse is nice. The horse is nice. Here, the horse is subject, is an auxiliary verb, and there is not here. And first, you have to write the auxiliary verb. There is no mention here not, so you have to add not. And the horse is an animal. And if you find the subject, animal, any baby, or any things, for an example, pen, book, etc. And in that cases, and you have to mention the subject will be it. Okay? If you find animal, any things, any material, any noun, then subject in case of tag question will be it. So this for this sentence, the tag question will be is not it. Okay? And now I am going to show you another rules. I am a student. Here, am is auxiliary verb. You write am, and there is not, so you have to write am not. The subject is I. Generally, this is the rule. But in case of auxiliary verb in a sentence, am, including the subject is I. I mean, if you find a sentence where the subject is I and auxiliary verb am, and there is no mention any word not. In that case, the auxiliary verb of the tag question will not be am. Here will be are not I. And I am repeating again. And if you find a sentence included subject I and auxiliary verb is am, and there is not mentioning any negative word here, in that case the tag question will be am will be turned are not I. And if you find including not, I am not a student. In this case, am will remain as like same. Am I? I believe that my dear student will be capable. You have capability to understand these rules, and I'm trying my best to make you understand the rules of tag questions. I am repeating these rules again. If you find a sentence with the subject I, with the auxiliary verb am, and if you do not find any negative word, then am will be are, and there is no mention not, so you have written here not, subject is I. But in case of adding not, I is subject, am is auxiliary verb, am not is added here. In that case, am will be same in case of tag question here, am I. So, and these are the rules of tag questions, and I request my dear students, you will follow also your tag questions added in your textbook. You will practice at your home again and again. And if if you have any question, you can ask me in online or any message. I will try my best to make you understand. And I am repeating some things again here, as in case of doing that question, you have to memorize the three things properly. And first you have to understand the subject, then auxiliary verb, then a negative word. And I hope and believe that you all have understood this. Thank you very much.